Welcome to the Aerospace Research Springbokkie assembly video. Today we're going to assemble a Springbokkie rocket, which is a 22mm diameter rocket, and our entry level one, also our most inexpensive one, even though some of the components are 3D printed. So these are the different nose cones versions that came out over the years. This is the latest one. But this is aimed for another type of rocket as well, which is very low skill level needed rocket with a 3D printed fin base. But it can also work on a Springbokkie if you want a heavier nose, if you want to fly more powerful rockets. These, or rocket motors, shall I specify. These nose cones are perfect for the A6 two motors that we currently advise people to use with the Springbokkie, because it doesn't go that high. It is a very safer option when it comes to restricted building areas where your base that you can fly on is perhaps your school's rugby field, which is about two of those rugby fields together if you're lucky, if you have a school with big sports field. When I was in school, I was lucky. We had 4 rugby fields plus 4 netball fields plus a main rugby field at our school. Believe me, if you got punishment runs, running around all that took a while, since that's more than a kilometer. So, advantages of rural upbringing. Now, these are the 4 nose cones, and they each have, these are basically the same bottoms. You might see a little color differentiation. It was me playing with color changing filament while I was printing. And of course, these are the rarest of them all, the translucent nose cones. So if you find one of those in your kit, you're lucky. This is my Return to Basics nose cone. It is hollow on the inside with just the shape around it. Okay. So inside your parcel that you got with our Springbokkie kit, you will have one nose cone of these varieties, 3 fins, 1 body tube, 1 thrust and recovery harness retaining ring, 1 parachute, 1 swivel. The fin cord is the shroud lines for the parachute, 1 recovery harness. Now, some of you may recognize these swivels. They're from fishing, and they're quite strong, but only up to a point. That's why I can only use these on the Springbokkie and Skycracker white kits, because if it's too heavy, they will separate like there was no barrier, believe me. You don't want that, because then your rocket goes one way and your parachute goes somewhere else, and it all ends in a disaster. Now, and you will need 1 launch slug, and that's basically what comes in your Springbokkie kit. It's very, very basic. So what you'll need is some wood glue, I've put it in here. Any wood glue would work. You even get a fast setting type. But now we're in March and it's hot and humid. So if you apply the less is more technique of wood glue, you will be surprised that you can build this rocket in about 10 to 20 minutes, including drying time. Now, what you'll need is some earbuds. This is to uh, apply glue in corners and such if you don't want to get your fingers dirty, but it's wood glue, you know, it just peels off. Then get 3 clothes pegs. So how this works is you'll apply glue to one side of your rocket. Then this is the side that's designed. You'll see there's a little chip that comes out that goes against the body. Now we use a method called the double glue bond. So while that is glued, we also apply glue to the fins and we let it set for the same time. The moment it starts going slightly translucent, then you know your glue is ready for a double glue bond. It's not quite dry yet, but it has become very, very tacky or sticky. So when you apply it to your body tube, it sticks immediately, although it's not quite fully dry yet. The advantage of wood glue is the moment it turns transparent, you know it's set. Okay, so this is the basics. So just 1 second. Now, if you bought the starter kit from me, you would have 1 display unit for your rocket after it's been assembled, 1 spacer unit, and 1 fin alignment guide. Sorry, I have a lot of stuff here in the background off camera, so you'll hear some noises as I work on it. There's only so much space on your work surface, so I chose a small work surface because not everybody has a big workbench in their workshop where they build stuff. And you will also get with your kit an easy fin alignment guide. This allows you to evenly mark the positions of the fins on the rocket body. So another thing we will need is a pen or pencil. So this is going to be a reasonably long video and you can skip ahead when needed. So you place your body, the fin, the circle is going around. You can just see this black outline. Keep it in position. Use your pencil. Okay, so now got a pencil mark, and the pencil mark that's evenly spaced around the body tube. So, but how do you draw a straight line on a round surface? We answered that by using an angle. If you don't have one of these, you can buy normal aluminium angle at the hardware store and just cut off a piece. Now, the advantage of buying it at a hardware store is you can do half meters or 50 centimeter lengths. And then when you build the big rockets, you use that same alignment. This one is small enough that you can draw here. So now, make sure you've got your mark there. Now, it's marked in centimeters, reasonably. So you want one space up, then 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks down, and you will see you have a 4 centimeter line. Total is 5 centimeters. 1 centimeter from the bottom. But you don't have to. This kit allows you to do the fins right on the edge. The reason why I'm so careful about getting my alignments right is because otherwise you end up with not a symmetrical rocket, but a Y rocket. 2 fins closer to each other than the other one, so it makes a Y. And then I go, why did you make a Y rocket? Okay, and because of the clicks, you are reasonably even all around with your lines. Now, we are going to, first of all, glue in this. But before we do glue it in, we have to attach the recovery harness or the shock cord, which is the 2 names for this. Now, this is 1.8 millimeter cotton coated elastic. For a while there, I couldn't find any because the company said they're not making it anymore. And I go, but if it's so popular that it's sold out in the shops, why don't you make it anymore? And they couldn't answer me. So I always wonder. But in any case, we go. On one end, we make a knot. I do a knot that when you pull it tight, it becomes a little bit bulky. This is to keep it from getting pulled through that hole. So take the other end. Doesn't matter which side you choose. See, it's nice and tight. Then you make another knot on this side. Because it's elastic, you can stretch it out when you make the knot. And it keeps it in position. So when you put it through the body tube, it doesn't slip back and forth. So now you take the elastic shock cord, you pull it through, and just leave this outside. So you can hold this with your fingers, and we are now going to apply a bead of glue on the inside here. Then we're going to push this in, and using this tool, position it to the correct distance inside the body tube. So the thrust ring will be lying here, keeping the motor from flying through the rocket. So just pull it back out, like this. Open your glue. And if it's been standing a while, you need 2 hands. Let's clear the nose. You're going to need some wood glue amounts for this, but not as much as you'd think. You can be quite generous at this point. So as you can see, there's quite a generous amount. And getting wood glue on the shock cord is not a problem because it actually acts as a fire barrier, prolonging the life of your shock cord. But it's also designed in such a way that if the shock cord gets burnt off, you can, using snips, you can cut it off in there and replace the cord. So now we just go, remove this so it doesn't get glued inside. You might see some glue on this, but just leave it over there. So now the shock cord is in position. You take your wood glue, apply it down the line. The reason I'm using a little bit of glue and not a lot of glue and such right now is because you can always apply some glue later, which I do. Now as you can see, that 5 centimeter line that I drew is perfect for the length of the spin. So it starts looking like a rocket. So I take that, put it in its container, support. The next one. Now as you may see, it's starting to dry already. Because as I say, even though it's March here in South Africa, it is hot and humid, which means it will dry quite fast. So as you smear the glue on both the body tube and the fin, and by the way, these fins are laser cut by TMOD in Meyerton, Midval. He offers laser cut services. He did not pay me to advertise it. I pay him to advertise it. Any case, so now you just leave this to dry. So while that is busy drying, I just put it on here so it doesn't lie. So our next item, you will also have received some little ring reinforcements. Now because I'm highly organized, I did something with mine. To be honest, when I was in school, I was known as the absent-minded professor. And it came back to haunt me. Okay. Okay, inside your rocket kit, you will receive a little packet like that. There's your swivel, your shroud lines, your recovery harness, parachute, your ring reinforcements, and a little stick. So put that to one side. Uh, I always try to make my kits better than they were before, because what I learned during an one-day workshop at Sabono was that not everybody always has the right tools and know how to use them. So I now included a little society stick, and with it you can just jab your holes through here. So now you've got your sharp tool that you need included in your kit. And it added a whole 10 cents to the cost of the kit. So now everyone has been punctured. You decide which side's going to be the top. You take your ring binder, the ring reinforcement, and you put it on. And of course I went and put it over the hole. But that's not the end of the world, you can just make a new one. The ring reinforcement reinforces the plastic, which is not very impact resistant. The Springbokkie kit has 6 holes, so you get 6 reinforcements, while the Sky Tracker has 8 holes, so you get 8 reinforcements. So just make sure they're done again. Actually, you can put on a ring reinforcements and then punch the holes. It's basically the same. So now we've done that, and I'm just checking on my glue. As you can see, it's starting to turn transparent in places. So now we go to the shroud lines. Now, as I stated before, there are 6 holes. I don't want to get glue on the parachute right now. There are 6 holes around, so you get 1 length of cord, which you have to turn into 6 components. So what you do is you hook it around, you pinch one end, hook one end around the finger, you pinch one end, and you hook the other side around the finger. And then you pull it tight carefully, and you will have 3 reasonably even lines. So this is where a pair of scissors comes in handy. So there's your 3 straight lines. So now you've got the choice. You can go opposite, or you can go side to side. Side to side is easiest. So I'll move these to the side. Come to think of it, there's one other thing we can do right now. remember the lawn slug? Since we're working with glue, I'm going to apply one bead of glue halfway between two fin positions. Doesn't matter which ones. And you apply your lawn slug. What you do is you roll it around. As you can see, I'm moving it so it spreads the glue over the entire surface of the lawn slug. Which means once the glue dries, it will form a plastic barrier around the lawn slug without getting glue on the insides. And then you check that it's perpendicular to the surface. And as you can see, because it's a thin layer and it's sticky over a large surface, it's stuck in position. So now you just leave that to dry. As you can see, the glue has started turning transparent, both on the fins and the body. So we're going to do one. Because it's turned transparent, you can see the pencil line. Push it down, make sure it's following the line of the pencil. And it's in position. So we remove the next one, which is even drier. And we do the same. This is also known as a double glue bond because you apply glue to both sides of the object getting stuck. Anyone who has ever worked with Patex would be very familiar with the double glue bond method. Since you apply Patex to both sides and then let it dry for about 10 minutes and then join the two together and you get a flexible, very strong bond. And what do you know? There's our fins, and to let it completely dry, we just put it on our stand. And now this can dry while we're busy with the parachute. And we can recap our glue because we won't use it again right now, but we will apply a little stripe of glue on the inside of the fin joints, and it's called a fillet. A fin fillet makes it much stronger, and because of the type of material this cardboard is made of, it is quite resilient to bending and such. Means that even if you bend the fins, it's not the end of your rocket, you just straighten them out and you can fly it again. One of my original Springbokkies that I made in 2019 is still going, even though those fins are bent. I just straighten them out and off they go. Okay, so having a tool to help push the straight lines through is quite handy, because sometimes the plastic returns to its original shape. Now, because you're knotting by hand, your lengths on each end won't be exactly the same. But that's not the end of the world. I'd advise making multiple knots just to ensure that it doesn't come loose very easily. The shroud lines are made from something called shearing thread, which is also a cotton-coated elastic used for sewing. Just 1 second. Oh, my light's overheating. So let's just get another light going. Okay. I will probably be editing out a lot of this because of time constraints. Okay, this helps a bit. So now so if you don't have one of those bamboo sticks, a normal pencil or such will also work. And also use one of the earbuds for this. Just something blunt to push the thread through if you can't push it through by itself. Of course, you get many different types of parachutes. Some are panel parachute. Well, this is known as a sheet parachute because it's made of a single sheet of plastic. All of this has brought the cost of the kit down from 100 Rand to 50 Rand. So making it more affordable for households with lower income. It's also not a very fancy rocket if you compare it to stuff from Estes and Apogee rockets and some of the other manufacturers from overseas. But those rockets cost between $25 to $150 for a rocket kit, which is quite a lot of money for a lot of people when you convert it to rands. So instead of paying 500 Rand for a kit, you only pay 50, making it much more affordable, especially if you lose the rocket. Then it's not a train smash, because one of the rules we follow is if it lands in a tree, I'm very sorry, it now belongs to the tree. You do not climb a tree to retrieve a rocket. Because if you fall out and you land funny and you break an arm or something, a rocket's not worth that. Especially not a 50 Rand rocket. So, there's your parachute. So we just hook the 3 loops. And voila. Looks like a parachute. Okay, so the bottom goes through your swivel. One of the eyes, you take these loop points and you work them through the eye. Then you open up the loop ends. Make sure you got all 3 nice. And you pull it tight. And now your parachute can freely twist, because this is one of the things that happen on the way down. Because no matter how carefully you build your rocket, it's not always perfectly symmetrical, and you do get wind force blowing on it and it starts spinning. So this allows the parachute to spin independently of the rocket body and avoid a lot of tangles. I won't say all the tangles, but a lot of them. So now this is done, and as we look at our rocket, double check for if you didn't put it on skew, and we can see that most of the glue has dried. So now you can put your rocket there like that. Choose a nose cone. If it's one like this, make sure it's open enough. If it's not, take a small drill and open it up. These are easy because these are easy. There was some stringing. So what you do is you knot it. Because the string will move upwards along the sides, we make knots down the sides until the rope has been moved all the way to the bottom, and it's now aimed downwards. Because if it sticks out the side when you put it into the rocket body, it won't go in well, and it might have enough friction to keep it from ejecting. Now you ask, how do we attach the parachute to the shock cord? And it's the same as when we attach the parachute to that ring. Parachute goes through the loop and you pull the loop tight. Now, there we go, a rocket is assembled. And that's how you build a Springbokkie. Okay, thank you very much. This was aerospace research. But before I go, just one thing. Fin fillets improve the strength of the attachment of the fin to the rocket body, and for that we use wood glue. If you want to go that extra length, you can put a thin sheet of paper, fold it into this crevice or corner, and glue that in. That makes it also stronger. Some people use body filler putty that they use on cars to make fillets. But I found that just glue that's spread across the fin and the body is more than enough to turn this into one piece. So we just go here for the launch slug, because if this comes off during the launch, the rocket won't be up to speed yet for the fins to guide it during flight on takeoff. A rocket needs to achieve a speed of 60 kilometers an hour for the fins to start working effectively. So now, as you can see, I'm spreading this glue. There's a lot of glue. And I'm spreading it across the body and up the fins, thereby making a plastic joint between the fins and the body. And because wood glue is water-based, it goes into the fibers of the cardboard. Making a very, very strong bond. So as you work it, spread out over this bottom of the rocket, which is also known as the fin can. And remember, less is more. The more you spread it out, the thinner it gets, the quicker it dries. And you don't have little white spots in the middle, which is actually wet glue that is making a weak spot and allows it to wobble. It will wobble, don't worry. So we spread the glue out over these fins. Now what you can do is either spray the entire rocket body with sanding sealer or diluted wood glue, which also works. And this will seal the porous cardboard and make it water resistant. So when you spray it with spray paints, it will be a nice even color. So now we leave it to dry, and then it's ready to fly. This is Aerospace Research, Springbokkie assembly. So I'm just going to pack everything . There we go, a blue Springbokkie. And by tomorrow, it will be ready to fly, unless I decide to paint it. So, thank you very much, and have a nice day.